questions answered. Don't miss out. The Psychic Gallery with Halley Elise. Go to HalleyElise.com for more information. That's HalleyElise.com.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to the Halley Elise Show, featuring your host, empowerment psychic Halley Elise. She is an author, psychic, and media personality, and has been listed as one of the top 100 psychics in America. Empowerment psychic Halley Elise shares the spiritual, metaphysical, holistic, and magical powers of the universe. Follow Halley on her website at HalleyElise.com, and all her shows can be seen via live stream video. Now, here's your host, empowerment psychic Halley Elise.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to the show. This is Psychic Monday, which means it's your opportunity to call in and have a reading at no charge. So if you've been thinking about it and debating, now's your chance. It's 888-565-1470. Once again, that's 888-565-1470. Hope everyone had a happy Valentine's Day. It's funny with Valentine's, when you're in a relationship, you have all sorts of expectations about where the day's going to go, what's going to happen, what's promised, what's not. When you're not in a relationship, you have the same problem. There is that expectation of what's going to happen, what's not. It's just really interesting because I hear from single friends their viewpoints, and I hear from friends that are in relationships their viewpoints, and of course I have my own as well. And it's just kind of interesting to see that no matter where you are, you kind of are in the same space. And it comes down to, it comes down to honoring yourself first, loving yourself first. And if you follow me at all on the show or in any of my classes, or if you've attended any of the psychic galleries, you know that I'm all about empowerment of the self, which means you have to take care of yourself first, which means being centered, being content. If you're a person who needs somebody in your life, that's awesome, but be okay with yourself. I know a few folks that if they break up with someone, they expect to have a new relationship immediately. And when I say immediately, I mean within a week. They want to be dating somebody, they want to be in a brand new relationship, and they don't understand why it is they have to be alone so long, which I think is kind of funny, because you have individuals who have been alone for 10 years or 6 years or a year or even 6 months, and they're okay with that. And yes, everybody is very different, but it comes down to, if you really want the best loving relationship possible, you have to kind of like you first. Okay, so we have a caller. We have Brian on the line this evening. Hello, Brian, are you there?
Hello.
How are you?
I would call in today.
Well, I'm glad you did. Did you have a happy Valentine's Day?
It was great, thank you. Worked on homework for someone.
That's awesome. I bet I knew who that someone is. Did you have a specific question about calling in, or did you just call in to chat?
I would say probably just to call in. I just called in more than anything else, just to listen. So.
Okay, awesome. Now, we are, and I'm saying this not only for your edification, but for anybody who is wondering, we are on the web, on my website with a live feed. We're also on WNN, which is WNNradio.com, as well as AMP2 and iHeartRadio and 1470 AM. I think I've got the bases covered when it comes to listening. And of course, you can call in. So, see, that works really well. So what did you think of, if you just heard what I said in respect to Valentine's Day, since I know you are doing some studies at the moment? Do you think there's any sort of validation to taking care of yourself first before pondering about somebody else in your life?
Absolutely. In fact, I'm kind of in the same situation myself, and I think that I personally believe that until you are in a place of completely are at peace with yourself and your ex or whatever person you're involved in, you're really just not ready. And if you jump in too quick, I think it's trying to create a void instead of really finding someone that complements you. And I think that that's a big difference.
Absolutely. But what about the idea that opposites attract? I'll pick your brain since you called in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that happens. And the one thing I can say about relationships, too, just from my own, is that sometimes it's throw out the rule book. A lot of times that there are things that work in general.
Right.
And I do believe, in fact, I was just starting to read something about the ideal time to wait before you get married. But I think that opposites do attract sometimes, and sometimes it is, it's a matter of, it's okay that if opposites attract, but I still say no matter what, the number one thing is communication, honesty, and being honest with each other. And I think that that
very important
comes back to the same thing, is you have to be honest with yourself and take care of yourself first, no matter what you attract.
Right, agreed. But what's interesting about the opposites is oftentimes we're attracted to a certain type of person because they are so different from ourselves. Let's say that person is gregarious and outgoing, and we ourselves are fearful or introverted, and they actually help us become more of that individual that we want to be. So it's not always about following the rules. I think oftentimes it's more a matter of, as you said, being honest with yourself and being able to evaluate, really, where am I in this moment? How do I fit within the grand scheme? It's not just, oh, I want to find my princess or my prince and run off into the future with them. There's that necessity of knowing who you are in the relationship, because if not, it doesn't last. There is no longevity. Unless, of course, you are like a friend of mine who is a counselor who was in a relationship for close to 4 years, acting as the counselor in the relationship, and the gentleman who she's been seeing all of a sudden made this major transition. And those of us who know her are in awe. Truly, we're in awe, because all of a sudden this individual is showing up in the way that would be anticipated. And what's funny about that is there's another dimension to things when I look at it from her perspective, which is, given enough time, if you show somebody that there's somebody in their corner that believes in them, they can transform into that person that they couldn't be.
That's an interesting point.
Mm-hmm. So it's not always as simple, It's not always that simple that we can say, well, it fits in one paradigm or another, because oftentimes it doesn't. Oftentimes it's more a matter of, how is it working in that moment?
I think in the moment is really a good point, too, because a lot of times I think it's so easy to look ahead.
Correct.
And not enjoy being in the moment and really cherishing the person, because if you're constantly looking at the what if, you're not really enjoying the person as they are right now.
Exactly. And speaking of enjoying the person as they are, I've got a caller, so let me take this call. If you'd like to hold on and listen, be my guest. Thanks for calling in, Brian. Appreciate it. Hi, Sharon, are you there?
Hi.
How are you?
Okay, how are you?
Very good, thank you. Did you have a specific question you'd like to address?
Sure. I'd like to know, will I find another love in my life after being married 42 years and now a widow?
It's interesting because we were just having a conversation about how we attract certain loves into our life, and what that looks like to us and where we are ourselves. And I specifically was saying about how you have to have that core within yourself, being centered, being comfortable within your own skin before that real true love is there. Not that you can't have a relationship, but for it to be that love that you really connect with. First off, I want to say that your little pets are your first love since your husband has gone. But I think they were your first love before your husband came into your life, too. He seemed to be...
I don't have any pets.
There are animals I get all around you. So if you don't have any in the house, I definitely get that you've got them at your door or singing out the window. But I feel like there's definitely an affinity there for animals.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
For sure.
But as far as It's interesting to me. The feeling is relationship with your husband. How could I put this? Was more about, if you will, respecting one another. Was more about who you were as individuals than
Yes.
I get the the thing that you see on the movies, that crazy passion that's always happening. I feel like you were each other's support. I feel like you were
Totally.
friends, companions. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Okay. And
Yeah.
the love that I get there is very dynamic, but very different than what you're looking for in this moment. I feel like there is more of the need to have silliness, playfulness, if you will, frivolity at this particular point, and
Right.
just be kind of free. And what I'm getting here is the next, I'll say, year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
It's about interacting with different people. But before that end of that 2 year period, I feel like you have somebody else who comes into your life who is just amazing, who is magnanimous in ways that you couldn't even anticipate, who makes you laugh like all the time, which is really great because I feel like the laughter's been missing for a while.
Well, that's one of my one of the things I ask for is sense of humor is number one.
Okay.
Oh, kindness, generosity, and sense of humor.
Right, right. Well, the person that's coming into your world is somebody who, like I said, is going to make you laugh. So that's something to look forward to. But I want to just say during this year and a half, 2 year period, just go out for the idea of having fun. Just go
Right.
out for the idea of enjoying the moment, not about, is this the one, is this the one, is this the one? Because I feel like
Right.
when this individual comes into your life, you're not going to be asking yourself. You're going to go home going, oh my God, that was so easy. Oh my God, that was so fun. I can't wait till I see this person again. So you're going to know it instantaneously. And I
And
feel,
not on any internet.
no, no, and I wouldn't.
Okay, good.
Honestly, I wouldn't suggest that you get on the internet. I feel like it's going to be more through a group of friends than it is anything else. So to me, this is like you're perhaps over at a girlfriend's for dinner, and so the neighbor stops by, and their brother-in-law is in town, who's recently widowed or who's recently divorced, and there's an introduction. It's not where it's like a fix-up, but it's more a matter of, if you will, a meeting through friends or a
Right.
meeting through people that you know. But I don't get. You're going to laugh. Go to the grocery store with your girlfriends. Sounds like a funny thing. But all kidding aside, there's the overall impression of being connected to friends when you meet this gentleman, but it's not in a fix up. It's not like they're, oh, I have this girlfriend you should meet. I don't get that.
Right.
I feel like it's in a very casual way. And again, I feel like when you spend time with this individual, you're going to walk away going, I know this is it. So you have a lot of sweetness to look forward to. It's just going to take a little time. So in the interim,
Thanks so much.
you're
That's so
welcome.
nice to hear.
And
And
then,
that's all. Can I ask you more?
sure, if you like, if you have another question.
Okay. Yeah, I have a very bad neck problem.
Okay.
I have a damaged nerve in my neck because I had shingles like 3 years ago.
Feels
and
like
it's
lower
really-
vertebrae of the cervical are not happy. I feel like, I want to say like
more-
from 5, 6, and 7, it feels like there's tension, even though I feel like there could be something askew, I'm going to say, within the higher vertebrae, but it actually feels like there's pressure, for lack of a better way to put it, in the lower vertebrae. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm just kind of spitting out what's coming in.
Okay. And do you get that I should see a chiropractor because neurologists tell me I shouldn't?
It's so funny because I think neurologists tend to be concerned that the chiropractor is perhaps going to do damage, not really understanding how chiropractic works. What I would suggest is you go with your instincts. I'm very careful not to give medical advice because I don't have medical experience. But what I will say is I personally have had, sadly, several accidents where somebody has hit me, and the thing that gave me relief was the chiropractor, even though I had gone to an orthopedic, even though I had gone to, in other directions. But what I would suggest is really sit down for a moment and listen to your gut. Ask yourself, how does the idea of going to a chiropractor feel? Because if you're not confident in that, then you
won't
shouldn't go because it's not going to work. Exactly.
Right. Okay.
I'm going to actually suggest, if you're comfortable, investigate either acupressure or acupuncture.
I can't have acupuncture because once you've had shingles, you're not allowed.
Okay,
supposedly.
so perhaps it's acupressure then, but I just feel like there's something that could be done, it feels like on the feet and the hands, that would be helpful
Okay.
to you. And maybe it's called, might actually be reflexology versus
Right.
acupressure, but I get something with hands and feet that would be of value.
Okay, great.
All righty.
Thank you so much, Haley.
Thank you, Sharon. Have a great night. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Psychic Monday on the Halley Elise Show.
Bob, did you see Halley Elise in the paper?
Who?
The empowerment psychic, Halley Elise. They did a 2-page write-up. The columnist was enthralled. Halley went right to an issue that she was dealing with. I'm looking at HalleyElise.com right now.
What are you thinking? Should we schedule an appointment?
Matter of fact, yes. You have issues with Sue and me, my business. Take a look at her background. It's impressive, and she has decades of experience.
I want to put it on my iPad. What's her info?
Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise. HalleyElise.com. 561-755-2166.
Spell it.
HalleyElise.com.
So it's HalleyElise.com and 561-755-2166, right?
561-755-2166. That's it.
You're listening to Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise, and she invites you to visit her website for more information about all that she does at HalleyElise.com. Now, back to your host, Empowerment Psychic Halley Elise.
Welcome back. If you are just tuning in, this evening is Psychic Monday on the Halley Elise Show, and it's the time when I have callers call in and I give them information psychically about things going on in their world. And I know we had a caller, waiting while we were on break. So Denise, are you there?
Yes. Hi, Halley. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I have a question for you.
Okay.
So, since this afternoon, I've had this song in my head, that Jimmy Cliff song, Vietnam. I don't know if you recall that, or if
Not
you know that.
familiar with
It's
that
like,
one.
It's about going to war, and I guess somebody showing up on a mother's doorstep and saying your son is dead.
Okay. Kind of a
So
sad song.
That started going to what? I'm sorry.
So that's kind of a sad song.
Yeah, it is. So, anyway, it was going through my head earlier this afternoon, and I just didn't think that much of it, but I just had to do a little job with the client, and then I finished that, and it came to me again. So, do you have any idea
Okay.
why?
When we have a recurrent thought, a recurrent song in our head, or we keep seeing the same thing over and over again, for instance, pink elephant hanging from a green tree, being silly, but when we have something that we see consistently over and over again, it's the universe's way of giving you a message. So you have to take a look at what does that song actually represent to you, because you knew what the song was, you heard it, and it's playing in your head. So does it bring up thoughts of that time frame when that would have been apropos? Is it about the era that the song was done? Is it about the singer, the type of music? When you think of the song, what is it that comes to you is what's going to be most important, because it's the language of your mind that's being communicated in this moment. To me, I would feel I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, honestly, you're right. I get songs like that all the time, and I can figure them out. But this one, I'm kind of perplexed. That's all. But I guess I'll have to go inside and find out.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I keep getting here is it has more to do with messages than it does with, let's say, somebody passing. So to me, this would represent hearing from someone you haven't heard from in a very long time, or even reconnecting with someone from your past. But I just, the overall feeling here is it has to do with the messages being delivered, being received. It may actually be where there was some sort of move and mail didn't get forwarded. All of a sudden the mail is forwarded, or mail was over, let's say, at a relative's house, and then it comes to you. But my overall impression is it has more to do with the message that's important for you than it is about, let's say, any of the other things that I was mentioning. But in general terms, you do want to consider all those other factors because, again, the universe delivers in ways that we understand on an individual basis.
Right, right. Okay. Can I ask you another thing?
Sure.
Is that possible?
Sure.
Okay. So recently I had contact with someone about a potential work situation. And it turns out, and everything went well. We did an interview on the phone, and then I didn't hear from him. He said, send me an email. I sent him an email, albeit a little bit late. I mean, I didn't send it that same day, but because I was kind of waffling about it. And then I sent him the email, and then didn't hear anything from him, so I waited several days. I gave him a call about a day ago, and he said that he saw the email. He said that he was on his way to Dubai, or he was going to be going to Dubai to do some work.
Right.
So he'd have to get back to me. And so at first I thought, well, okay, maybe it's still a go. And then I was thinking...
Yeah, my feel I'm sorry, but I want to cut in on here because as you're talking, my feeling on this is if you push, you could get the job, but you would be unhappy.
Oh.
My feeling really is you should let this go because I feel like they're not going to, if you will, meet your needs. I don't feel like they're going to handle things in a timely fashion. And I feel like this is a strong portent of how they deal with people that they work with. And I feel like you're too creative of an individual and too sensitive to be in that position.
So they...
Pardon?
Do they kind of treat the staff like staff? Is it that kind of thing?
Yeah, I get the sense that it's more, not even like staff, but it's more a matter of being ordered what to do. It actually reminds me, there's a reminiscence here, of somebody I know who went through something similar. They actually took the job, though, and for a year were absolutely miserable. And this has the same vibration to it, where if you go in, you're being dictated to.
Oh, no.
And
no.
I feel like that's not going to work for your personality.
I can't do it. Thank you.
Okay, so you're better off taking a look elsewhere. And even if they come back to you, because my feel is they're very delayed, they kind of put people off. I feel like we're in February? Yes, March. I'm going to say by the end of March, beginning of April, you will have a really wonderful opportunity where you can be appreciated and actually enjoy yourself in the environment.
Does that involve travel?
I get things that are artistic and travel being a combination with the job. So yes, it's funny because I keep getting a sense of advertising, even though I don't get you being an advertiser. I feel like that's going to be a part of the position. So there is, if you will, another dimension coming in for you that you haven't used before.
Some marketing things that I need to be doing, I'm thinking.
Marketing, PR, I'm trying to think of how else to phrase this. Networking, I guess, might be another term, but what shows up in my head is very similar to when somebody says, hey, we're going to go to so-and-so to do a shoot, and we want you to come along because we want to use your eye. And oh, by the way, you handle the paperwork, you do all of the organizational stuff, so you bring that with you. But there is definitely some sort of overflow here having to do with movement as far as travel and creativity as well as linear thought, which is good because you have a good balance when it comes to linear and abstract, meaning, things that are actual construct as well as creative. And yet you don't always honor that part of you that is creative because you're too busy running around trying to do what you're supposed to do. So, all that being said, yes, please look at the marketing, look at PR, because I feel like you will have a perfect match.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Have a great night.
You too.
Thanks.
So much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So if you have just tuned in, this is Psychic Monday, and you can call in this evening for a reading. It's 888-565-1470. That's 888-565-1470. If you saw a little hesitation there, I blanked for just a second. It's like, wait, what is that? Okay, so prior to starting this evening, we were talking about, and I say we, me and you folks listening in, as well as a gentleman who called in. We were talking about Valentine's Day and specifically love and our expectation and how we connect and how we view things. And it's so fascinating to me. There are all of these books written about love every day. There's articles popping up. You have women's opinions and men's opinions. You have that wonderful book, Men are from Mars, Women are from Venus. And it just goes on and on and on. Then there's a gentleman who talks about the brain and how it's this very comedic act. I wish I could recall his name, but if you look on YouTube, I think it's just look up male brain, female brain. I'm sure you'll find it. It's a short little ditty, but it's hysterical about how men think and women think. And you wonder, how is it that we ever get together? Well, we get together because we're supposed to be together. We get together because we're not supposed to be individuals that live by ourselves indefinitely. We're supposed to have partnerships and we're supposed to have interactions. You can choose not to have, but the human psyche, if you will, is such that we are supposed to be together and interact with one another. So if at this particular moment you are saying, nope, done, don't want a relationship again, then take this time to work on you. Not just to say, okay, I'm not happy because my ex did this or because all women are like that or whatever that, if you will, dogma is that seems to be insidious in your world. Take the time to say, okay, how can I make me happy? How can I do things that are really going to cultivate the love for myself? Because when you do that, that energy just kind of spreads out into the universe. And when it does that, all sorts of magical things happen. You find that more people are attracted to you. You find that love, whether you look for it or not, seems to show up in your world. So it starts with ourselves. Now, for those who say, oh, that's not true, I don't do any of that, and, I have a guy one week and a different guy another week, or I have a girl, guess what? It's not real love. That's it, folks. I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate those who called. Thanks so much. Have a beautiful night. Bye-bye.
Be enchanted and delighted. Connect each week here on WNN for the Halley Elise Show. Also on Facebook and at HalleyElise.com. Thanks for tuning in. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program